This one?
Good morning. Welcome to the Rapid City Planning Commission meeting for May 23rd, 2024. If any member of the audience wishes to speak to an item on the Planning Commission agenda today, there are speaker request forms on the table along the left wall. Please fill out the request with the agenda number of the item you wish to speak to and hand it to the staff seated on the left of the dais. At this point, we would also like to ask that if any member of the audience has a cell phone or other electronic device, that you either turn it off or turn the ringer to silent. If you need to take a call, please step out to the hallway so the meeting is not disrupted. Items 1 through 5 have been placed on the consent calendar and may be approved as a group today. Action will be taken on all consent items in accordance with staff's recommendation by a single vote. Any item may be removed from the consent calendar by any planning commissioner, staff member, or audience member for separate consideration at this time. The findings of this planning commission are recommendations to the city council. The city council will make the final decision with the exception of the following item. Item 224 PD 012. The Rapid City Planning Commission action on this item is final unless any party appeals that decision to the Rapid City Council. All appeals must be submitted in writing to the Department of Community Development by close of business on the 7th full calendar day following action by the Planning Commission. Are there any items that staff would like removed?
Number 2, please.
Okay. Any items that any planning commissioner would like removed? And then any other items, 1, 3, 4, or 5 that any audience member would like removed for separate consideration at this time? The chair would then entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar items 1, 3, 4, and 5 in accordance with staff's recommendation. All right. Brooke made the motion to approve those items, and Karen seconded that motion to approve in accordance with staff's recommendation. Sorry. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 2.
Good morning, Chair, Commission. Jessica Olson with Community Development. Today we are discussing, it's an initial plan development for West Hills Village to do a residential development, primarily senior housing, with a mix of duplexes and senior housing apartment building. So we are kind of between 5th Street, we're off of 5th Street to the west, between Minnesota and Enchanted Pines. And so this project would actually have kind of access through both of those roads. It does propose a through road between the development. This is currently zoned low-density residential 1. On the consent agenda, there was a rezone to medium-density residential and just to preface that, the reason that staff did recommend approval on that is because of the plan development that is proposed today, because it is a low enough density that it actually would potentially fit within that low-density residential 1, aside from that senior housing apartment building that is not permitted in that zone. So that was the primary reason for the rezone. Let's see, the future land use here is low-density neighborhood, so trying to keep within that, keeping kind of a lower density senior housing project. Here's the roadmap I had mentioned. We've got Minnesota to the north, and there's some through roads that come through here, and then Enchanted Pines. Both of those have access onto 5th Street, Minnesota with a signal, and Enchanted Pines with a stop sign. So the proposed development it's about 40 units, to be completely determined what the senior housing building, the apartment building will be in the final plan development, but approximately 40 units in that building, and 40 dwelling units in that building, and 20 in each. Sorry, I'm confusing myself. 80 total. Sorry. 20 duplexes, so 40 units of kind of essentially single family attached on a cul-de-sac that runs kind of through the middle of the development. And then the senior housing closest to 5th Street as possible to kind of avoid being around the other single family neighborhoods to the north and the south here. That property to the east is currently vacant. It's owned by the school district and will likely become something else at some point. We're assuming potentially maybe commercial uses as they're attempting to surplus that land. So this is the site plan shown. We did get some comments about the trees. I just do want to note here, they're removing as little as possible. This area does sit very low as well, so view sheds are not assumed to be impacted in this way. And again, having the more apartment style building as far away from the single family as possible. There's a culvert here. I think there was some question as to a bridge being built. That's not the case. These are just regular roads and a culvert going underneath to deal with the drainage. Here is kind of shows you how that landscape looks, whereas the duplexes are oriented more toward the single family neighborhoods and that kind of lower level area. And then again, the apartment style senior housing building to the east there. This is coming from looking from the west to east. And here's some images. So this is standing on the north side, looking south at one of the access roads that would continue through the development. And you can see here as well, there's, this is looking to the east there. It's a little higher in that area and much lower to the west. So most of those trees would be retained. This is looking back at the neighborhood to the north from that access point. And then now we're going to be on the other side coming from the Enchanted Pines area. This is looking north from the south end of the development. Again, a lot of tree buffers to the existing single family. This is looking toward that school district property. Toward the east, it's a little higher over there. And then this is looking back at that neighborhood on the road that would connect through to the other side. So I do want to mention staff is recommending approval with stipulations. We're going to see a lot more detail on the site plans, landscaping, those sorts of things with the final plan development. This one they did not submit the landscaping plan and the open space plan, so they'll actually be adding trees and open space amenities. The stipulations I do want to note here, we do need the rezone to be approved and fully through and effective before they can finalize that final PD. So that's one stipulation associated with that senior housing apartment building. And then there's, they could potentially need exceptions from the infrastructure design criteria manual. They need to revise the plans if they are getting those. and show the changes in the final plan development. They do need to make sure that the parking plan complies. Right now, there's about 5 spaces associated with that senior apartment building that they're assuming could likely go underneath, but the final parking plan would be at the final PD. Again, landscaping plan, open space plan, they're dedicating the streets within them as H lots, so they'd be public roads. And so that needs to be completed as well. And there's some requests from Public Works about, I will go back to that one because it's kind of there's a hammerhead that needs to come, I believe, over here. So there's a road, and I'm gonna butcher the pronunciation of it, Kiowa. There needs to be a hammerhead at the end of this on their property, so that is one of the other stipulations I did want to note. And then we are looking at a 3-way controlled stop here. And then in discussions with the applicant, they also are planning to do fire suppression in the duplexes as well, because there is access issues for fire to be able to get to these areas. And so willing to do fire suppression systems within the duplexes as well as the apartment building. And that is all I have. Sorry.
Thank you.
Any
I have a
questions?
couple speaker requests on this item. Eric, do you have a question for staff ahead of that?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's a comprehensive submittal. It's quite effective, context sensitive. Love the big swath of trees that are preserved. It's a great work. My question is, what is that cul-de-sac length? What is the length of the longer cul-de-sac shown?
Yeah. Vicky? Is that Todd? Are you up? Are you Amelia? Not quite.
Yeah, I believe it's just over 600 feet or thereabouts. So they do need an exception for the length, which they have submitted. Has not been processed yet, but
That answers my question. Thank you.
Haven, I believe you had can you request again? Haven?
I had a similar question, I guess. You said something about, there's a road here in Enchanted Hills, I think. I thought that one of the plans showed that road connected to the end of that cul-de-sac, and you made some reference to that I didn't quite understand.
So Enchantment Road will continue through, and it passes by this apartment building here. And then there's a couple 3-way stops that go to, one will lead to the cul-de-sac. So all of it will connect through both, through Enchantment Road, and then it continues through Shaker Drive. And both of those roads have connections to Minnesota and Enchanted Pines for access out onto 5th Street.
And then what about the road on the lower left of this?
Yes, so that one, they will be putting a hammerhead in that area, so it'll essentially be a cul-de-sac. It's just noting that it's on the property, so it's required as part of the development because that road was built to continue, but they're not using it, and so it needs to have a turnaround.
Okay, so there will not be a connection between the
Correct.
cul-de-sac shown on here and the road that you're just referencing.
Correct, the topography does not lend to it.
And over on 5th Street, is there any additional traffic requirements going out on 5th Street due to this development?
Not as a result of this development.
Karen?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just have one question. Enchantment Road is the one that will connect with Fifth Street, is that correct?
Enchantment Road, or is it Drive, is the one it's immediately connecting, and then there's Enchanted Pines that runs parallel, or sorry, perpendicular, that you would make a left essentially onto Enchanted Pines to connect to Fifth Street.
Okay, I guess I didn't see
Yeah,
a
let's go
map
back
of that,
to
so.
here. So here's the connection with Fifth Street and Enchanted Pines, and then this is Enchantment Road here.
Okay, that's what I was not clear on, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, Vicky. If I can get you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First, I just want to stress that this is an initial plan development. So before they can secure a building permit, we will see final plans. For an initial application, this is an excessive amount of information that has been submitted. And I think that just goes to show West Hills Village is an established senior housing development in this neighborhood. And they continue to do several outreach opportunities for neighbors to come in and learn about the plans. Their presence in this neighborhood compared to just typical single-family residential has shown us that we've got manicured lawns, reduced traffic, the landscaping is brought forward in a professional design, and the maintenance of it is exceptional. Looking at the acreage of this parcel as it stands, if another developer had purchased it, based on the size, we could get 140 single-family lots, thereabout, in this area. Providing senior housing, which, by the way, the city is greatly short senior housing at this time, we're reducing that number to 80. When we review this, knowing that this is a wonderful residential neighborhood, these are beautiful homes, well-kept. There's a lot of ownership pride. Looking at this use partnered with what has already been created, it really limits what other residential uses may do. And again, knowing that the maintenance and operation of the West Hills Village Senior Housing Project is well performed, we thought this would be a good partnership for this existing neighborhood because it truly is a five-star neighborhood.
Vince?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Full disclosure, I live right across the street from West Hills Village. This is my walking area. I've walked through this area many, many times, and Vicki is absolutely right. They're good neighbors, and they do everything that Vicki was just pointed out, and I lived that for years now. So, yes, one of the couple of questions, though, that I had, that Shaker Drive, is it going to be, so they will be able to go onto Shaker Drive and eventually access Minnesota, is what you said, right?
Correct.
Because one of the concerns that was sent is that they're worried about getting off of Enchantment Pine Drives onto Fifth, and there's no light there. But then across the street, isn't there a new development coming next to that Mandalay building on what would be the east side of Fifth Street?
Yeah, Vicky.
Vince is correct. We do have some residential components coming in at that location as well.
So there is a possibility that there may be eventually a light there that connects Enchanted Pines Drive to Fifth. There's a possibility.
There's a calculation that our traffic engineer utilizes to determine when a signal is warranted, because this is actually reduced density for what otherwise could be constructed on this property. And since Fifth Street has already been designed as a principal arterial street, it is not anticipated that this project will warrant any improvements. As we see additional traffic occur on Fifth Street, those warrants will be looked at, and if at such time that a signal is needed, then that is something that the city would look at.
Mm-hmm. There's also, for the people that live on Enchantment Pines, Stumer, Enchantment Pines Drive, and so forth, there is access to Mount Rushmore Road as well as access to Stumer Road, which eventually accesses Fifth with the signal light as well. So there is a possibility that they can go from everything would have been south of this development, they will be able to continue on through Shaker Drive and eventually access Minnesota. Is that correct, or am I overdoing this?
No, you are correct.
Okay.
And again, if people are traveling north or east, they will probably take that route. If they're traveling south or potentially west, they will probably come through. They might venture down, they might shoot out to Fifth Street, or they might venture down and come out on Black Hills Boulevard. And again, that is a signalized intersection.
And, yeah, thank you for that. Appreciate it.
All right, I'll go to the speaker requests on this item. Don Lee, if you'd like to come up and address the commission.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Being new to Rapid City, or relatively new, I'm not sure that this is the appropriate time for the question, but before the question or comment, I also would second the motion or the notion, the idea that West Hills is a great neighbor, and if we're going to have a neighbor in that area, I would vote for West Hills. I live on the corner, if you noted in the pictures, the end of Enchantment Road, there was a flagpole standing there. And that's my flagpole. Purpose, my question is regarding the infrastructure, extension of streets and infrastructure. Is that something that would be assessed to we adjacent landowners, or is that West Hills and city project? Thank you.
Vicky, I'll let you take this one.
Thank you. That is a great question. This would go to the developer as they're bringing forward the project. There will be no assessment to the adjacent property owners or other taxpayers within the city. So as they're bringing this forward, they will build the streets, the sidewalks, and extend the water and the sewer, and address all of the drainage that currently flows through the site to maintain that flow. And then any additional impervious area that they're creating, they also have to address that issue as well.
All right, Amy Iverson.
Good morning. I own a home on Ranchester, which is kind of above the property where the cul-de-sac will be. I have no issue with West Hills as a neighbor. I think they'll be just fine. I would just request that the commission ensure that in the final plan that's submitted, looks like the current plan, where the trees in that valley are maintained. Obviously, it's a beautiful area. I purchased my home because of that area, and I would hate to see those trees in that valley change for those reasons. So I understand this is a proposed plan, and I would just, again, request that we ensure the final plan looks like the proposed plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Vicky?
Thank you. Again, another great comment. You know, over the years, we've worked very closely with West Hills Village, and I think one of the great attributes is that they truly try to embrace the natural terrain, preserving trees, ensuring that if there's a terrain differential, it's maintained to the greatest degree possible. It provides character to the property. When they finish the project, this is something they are trying to attract people to. And so not only do they leave the natural landscaping, but they really add landscaping to embrace the visual impact as people are driving by or into the project. So I am anxious to see that final landscape plan, but at the end of the day, we will probably have more trees than we do today.
All right, Vince?
Thank you. And Amy, I agree, because again, I live in that neighborhood. So those trees are extremely important. And a matter of fact, when I was started on this commission, that was one of the concerns I had in that whole neighborhood about that forest area. So yes, I think if anybody's going to take good care of it, it should be the West Hills Village folks.
Eric Hikas?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Move approval of the initial plan development with staff stipulations.
All right, Eric made the motion to approve. Karen seconded it first. Beat you to it, Vince. With the stipulations, the lengthy stipulations, 15 of them as listed. Mike Quasney?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll be voting along with this, but I was just curious, is the houses that they're putting in here, the duplexes, is there anything similar? Is it similar to the ones they have right now? Just to have a visual of what they're putting in there. I guess that would be my question.
Vicky?
Yes, and on that, I will defer to the applicant. They are not required to submit elevations. They do show us a little bit here, but maybe if one of you would like to add something to that. Darryl Ranke?
Once you're up, if you could identify yourself.
Good morning. Yeah, a couple things.
Darryl, if you could identify yourself just
Darryl
for our-
Reineke with West Hills Village. I've been with West Hills Village since it's been built, so I've been there 40 years. So know a little something about the operation and how and what we do. To some of the questions, and you can tell from our development that we took everyone's concerns were the same concerns that we had. We want to fit into this area and not change the area, and I think our development reflects that. So certainly I have no concerns with some of the comments this morning because those align right with what our thinking is. Yes, and in terms of what these may look like, we haven't started the design of the actual units, but we do operate similar units already. So on 5th Street, as you drive past West Hills Village, we have what we call our cottages, and there's some of those sitting right on the corner of 5th Street in Nebraska. That would be this same concept. Up across on the west side of 5th Street on Anna Maria, we have what we call the villas, and we have 31 villas there, and those are townhomes as well. So we already operate and manage currently townhomes. This is just an extension of what we're doing. In terms of appearance, we haven't got into what that's going to look like. We're excited about that, and I know that we'll do a good job of making sure that they blend well for what the topography and as well as the neighborhood would be used to.
Thank you. Chip with the fire department.
Mr. Chair, just for the public and the applicant, I haven't looked at that property with all the trees, and stuff. I just want to make it aware that if the forest is really thick there, that we might do some mitigation. If the trees if there's some unhealthy trees and things like that, or the pine tree, we might, if you see us down there doing some mitigation, we're not clear cutting anything. I just want to let the neighborhood know that it creates a fire break. If it's that thick, I haven't seen it, but I just want to let the public know that, the mitigation process would protect you up on the hill too if a fire starts, if the trees are too thick. So I just want to let everybody know that if some mitigation work is being done, it'll be the minimum number of trees to remove. It'll look nice, and we just want to let you know that if you see a hair chainsaw going down there, we just want to let the public know that we remove as least amount of trees as possible. And there is according to the email, that there's a lot of different kind of trees. So we might not have to do anything, but if the neighborhood needs some additional protection from thick stands of trees, then we might have to do a little bit, but it'd be the minimum number that we would remove. So, and if anybody has any questions on that, always contact the fire department. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. There's a motion to approve item 2 on the floor with the stipulations as listed. Any further discussion on that motion to approve? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. That takes us to item 6.
Good morning, Commission. Cassie Hayes, Community Development. So item 6 before you, this is a conditional use permit request to allow on-sale liquor in conjunction with a restaurant. Where we are at is at 7201 Mount Rushmore Road. The property currently consists of 3.37 acres and has a multi-tenant commercial building on it right now. The property is currently zoned general commercial district. Future land use of this property is mixed-use commercial. And this property is accessed off of the Mount Rushmore Road Service Road, which is obviously accessed off of Mount Rushmore Road, which is a principal arterial street. So what this is right now, this multi-tenant commercial building currently consists of 6 suites. The proposed use will occupy approximately 2,925 square feet of the existing building, which is Suite 6,000. They are proposing to serve local and regional tap beers and a variety of wine to go along with the restaurant, which will be Salt Block Burgers and Brews. They are proposing both indoor and outdoor seating. There will be some outdoor seating that is enclosed by a 4-foot fence. They plan to operate 7 days a week, from 11 to 10:30 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and then from 11 to 8 p.m. on Sundays. We did do a review of the neighborhood within close proximity. This is located in a developing commercial corridor, and there does not appear to be any place used for religious worship, school, or a park or a playground within a 500-foot radius. The nearest property I do want to point out that is zoned residential district, as is something that we look at, is to the west of the property, directly adjacent, but that property is dual zoned. It is within Pennington County jurisdiction, and it is dual zoned right now, both suburban residential district and that buffer of highway service district. And I do also want to point out that the nearest residential use of this, close to this use, is actually directly to the south, down here. But it is a suburban residential, or it is a single-family dwelling, but it is located within a highway service district zoning, again, within Pennington County limits. So I do just want to point that out. They will be required to obtain a liquor license approved from City Council, of course, along with this request. I do want to discuss a little bit about parking as related to this proposed use. So vehicle access, as I mentioned, to this is off of the Mount Rushmore Road Service Road, excuse me. So the existing building, like I said, has 6 separate suites. 4 of those suites are currently leased for occupancy. 2 of them are currently vacant at this point in time. So based on the current occupancy, they are required to have a minimum of 91 parking spaces for what's existing out there right now. Currently, they have 102 parking spaces that are provided, but occupation of those 2 suites that are currently vacant will change the parking calculation and the demand, and it will require additional parking be provided on the property. And also any change in the use of what is occupied right now could also have an impact on their parking requirements as well. So staff is stipulating that if this use is approved, that they are required to have those 2 unoccupied suites remain as storage until such time that there is additional parking provided on this property. So here is kind of an outside rendering of the proposed new restaurant. Here's a side view of it. They are planning to add signage to the existing monument sign that's on the property. So this is looking directly at the suite. They will occupy this portion right in here. This is Suite 6,000, so it's a suite on the end. This is looking at where their outdoor seating is proposed to be. So back here, there's 2 doors right here. So their proposed outdoor seating will be kind of in this area around here. This is a close-up of the area that's proposed for the outdoor seating. This is looking in the northern parking area, so the parking area that's directly closest to where the restaurant will be. This is also parking in that northern area just off to the side of the building. This is the southern parking area, so the restaurant, for your reference, is down here. So we're looking more at the southern area of the building. And again, the southern parking area. This is looking north along that service road and along Mount Rushmore Road. And then this is looking south down that service road and Mount Rushmore Road. So staff has reviewed this in compliance with all of the regulations of the code, and staff does find that it is in harmony with it, so staff is recommending approval of the conditional use permit with stipulations. I'll stand for any questions, and the applicant is in the audience as well if you have any questions.
Thank you. Karen?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This isn't the area in which I live in this area. So I've been watching this building, and a lot of the neighbors and a lot of people that drive up and down Highway 16 have been asking me, what's going on, what's happening? And I can tell you, anytime you can get a restaurant in our area, we're ecstatic, because there's nothing up there, you know. I have a question that on the schematics that you've sent. There's a place that says mostly chocolates, and they're going to do manufacturing in there, which they don't need any, it's not something that we would deal with today. But in the back, it says something about seating. So eventually, do you think they'll have somebody can go in there and buy chocolates? That's a personal thing for me, so I'm just asking.
It's my understanding that Mostly Chocolates, from where they were at down on Mount Rushmore Road, is relocating that operation up to this location. So it's my understanding that, yes, they would have some form of potentially indoor access to their chocolates.
Thank you. That also makes me happy. So I love this. So thank you.
Good question.
All right, any other comments or questions on item 6? Maybe a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
All right.
Sorry.
Vince made the motion to approve item 6 with the stipulations. Mike Quasney seconded that motion. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 7.
All right, item number 7 before you is a conditional use permit request to allow an oversized garage. Where we are at now is 2707 Tomahawk Drive. This property is comprised of 0.97 acres, currently contains a single-family dwelling with an 840 square foot attached garage and a small shed. The property is currently zoned low-density residential 1. Future land use is low-density neighborhood. Again, we are off Tomahawk Drive, which is classified as a local street. Access to Tomahawk is off of Sheridan Lake Road through kind of a winding path of internal local roads. So what the applicant is proposing to construct here is a 24-foot by 40-foot detached garage. What he is proposing to use this garage for at this time is a personal golf simulator for his own recreational use. It would not be something that would be commercial in nature. He is proposing to construct this building as a garage so that if the golf simulator is removed in the future, this structure can still function as a standard residential garage. The existing shed on the property will be removed. As you can see in the picture that's up here, that pink area is where he is proposing to put the garage. So that shed that's there right now will be removed and replaced with the garage. Again, not intended for commercial purposes or to be used as a second residence. The reason this is being requested is by our code, the maximum cumulative allowable size of all private garages on a property cannot exceed 1,500 square feet or 30% of the size of the dwelling. So with his current existing attached garage being 840 square feet and his proposed garage being 960 square feet, that comes to a total of 1,800 cumulative square feet of storage space on the property. So he does exceed that maximum allowable square footage by approximately 300 square feet. So that's why we are here today. He has submitted an elevation rendering and some construction specifications that do show that the proposed detached garage will be constructed to match the residential character and building material of the house as it exists today. Also, the color scheme, as you can see in this rendering up here, you can see his existing house siding color, and then the one that he's holding there is the proposed garage siding color, so he is matching that color scheme with the existing house. There are quite a few existing, this is a picture of his proposed golf simulator. There are quite a few existing mature trees and other landscaping on the property that does provide a natural buffer to some of the adjacent properties. And also, as you can see in this picture, this is looking directly through his driveway. So his property is accessed via a flagpole driveway, which does allow this garage to also be recessed from the street view pretty well. This right here is his existing house, so you can see topographically his house sits higher up than the rest of the neighborhood. There are several properties within this subdivision that do have attached garages. Detached garages are somewhat uncommon in this neighborhood. However, most of the properties are constrained from having a detached garage because of topography or lot size in this area. So he's kind of at an advantage that he has a place to be able to put his garage. So this is looking from his driveway. Right here is the existing shed. This is the low area where he is proposing to put his garage. So as you can see, this is looking from his driveway down to that location. You can see there is a little bit of an elevation drop there. All these mature trees that kind of provide some buffering. This is looking northwest to where his garage will be. So again, showing some of that landscaping buffer. Looking again north from his garage location. This is looking from where his garage is up to his house, so you can see the elevation difference there, so it'll kind of be hidden a little bit in that low-lying area. This is looking southeast from where he's going to put his garage to his neighbor's house. There are 3 properties that are accessed from this flagpole access, so this is one of them. And this is the other one, so kind of showing what the neighbors will see. And then this is southwest from his driveway. So what he is proposing, the garage will be 15 feet in height, which is the maximum allowable size for the garage. However, it doesn't appear that a 15-foot tall garage would impede the skyline view any more than his house would, because again, it sits down recessed to his house, so you'll definitely see his house above any sort of view of his garage. So ultimately, staff is recommending approval of the oversized garage with a stipulation noted in the report. I'll stand for any questions, and Troy is here as well if you have any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for staff on this? Eric Hikas?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think we talked about this at Coffee with Planners last week, this very subject. So interesting that we have one on our docket today. One question. Setback on the garage, what is that distance, and does it comply with the requirement?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, it does comply. So his minimum setback would be, let me get back to his site drawing there. So right here, it shows it's proposed to be 11.5 feet from this right here, and it is just a 1-story, so.
Thank you. That answers my question.
All right, Alicia?
Thank you. My quick question is wondering if there's a reason why the golf simulator needs to be this specific size at 24 by 40?
Ooh, that would be a question for Troy. I'll defer to Troy.
Once you're up, just identify yourself for us for the meeting purposes.
Hi there, Troy Helpenstein, landowner. The reason I'm making it a 24 by 40 is, you know, for future use, if I ever do want to do a decent sized garage, it's there for that. I'm removing that shed, and I do need some additional space for some storage is what I'll be using that for, so. Thank you.
Mike Kwasny?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will be making a motion to approve at this time. And I'd like to, I guess, make one other comment after a second.
All right. Mike got the motion to approve. Brooke seconded that motion. Mike, the floor is yours.
Okay, I guess I would be wondering if that driveway needs to be improved on, because I'm pretty sure he's going to have a lot of buddies that are going to be driving up and down there, so.
Traffic impact study is what you're looking at.
First
Mr.
of all,
Helpenstein.
I don't have many friends who know how to golf, so I'm going to try to teach a few.
You
But-
might have more.
Yeah. There's quite a bit of space. If you see the lot line there, I do have a lot of parking up there, and quite honestly, this is kind of for my wife and I. We might have, one or two other people up there. It's not like a big, commercial operation by any means. And that, like I said, the proposed drive in there is just for future. It's just going to be a walk path going down to it for now. But it's, if I ever move from that location, we just wanted to make sure it was able to be used as a garage at that point in time.
I made that comment in jest.
Oh.
Sometimes we like to have a little fun up here, as commissioners, so.
Great.
Thank you. I think I'm a little jealous, so.
Anything else on item 7? The motion is to approve with stipulation. All right, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Motion carries with Alicia opposed. All right, comprehensive plan progress report.
Good morning, Sarah Hansel with Planning Projects Division. Item number 8 this morning is to give you an introduction and status update on the very exciting project we have going on right now, which is the update to the city's comprehensive plan. It's been 10 years since the last comprehensive plan was brought forward by community members and the staff partnership with the consulting team. So we're excited to look ahead to the future of what's in store for our community. So I want to at this time introduce our consultant team that we're working with. They're called Logan Simpson. They're based out of Fort Collins. And we've been working very closely with Megan Moore and Kelly Nauman. They're going to give you an update on the overview of the process, where we are today, and where we're headed next.
Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. Well, this is an exciting opportunity to be able to present the first presentation of the comprehensive plan to you this morning. You'll see us probably multiple times over the course of the project. As you'll see, it'll be a long one. So this is kind of your first chance to offer us some feedback as well and ask any questions. First, a little bit of background about what a comprehensive plan is. It is a long-range document. Typically what we say is we try to plan out the next 20 years, but if we don't get it right, as we won't get it right, you can never quite fully predict what's going to happen. You have the opportunity generally to update it every 10 years as a good best practice. It's a very high-level plan, I'll say. It touches on a lot of different things, hence the term comprehensive. But the things to know that it's not a regulatory document, it's not zoning, it's not changing zoning, but it does provide staff kind of that, and I just saw it in some of your submittals this morning, they do reference the land use map. This is a chance to be able to reference goals and policies as you're looking at some of those development submittals. What's in the process? So this kind of gives you an idea of the process throughout that you'll see. Right now, we're just doing a lot of due diligence. We had some conversations yesterday. We toured the city with city staff, got kind of the lay of the land. We're also looking at existing conditions, just taking a look at some data points, housing costs, age, demographics, et cetera, for the city, putting them together in a document that will probably be released earlier this summer. In addition to that, we're also starting to ask the community a lot of questions about vision and values. So what do they love about the community? Why did they come here? Why did they stay here? Why did they come back here? What are some of those values? What would they like to see change in the future? What would they like to see remain the same? And those questions and those answers will help us inform a vision, probably some guiding themes for the document itself. And then underneath those themes and guidance will be a set of goals, objectives or policies. Terminology is still yet to be determined. And then the most detailed part of that is actions and strategies. And this is really what can set the city up for success because it's kind of staff's work plan. And I won't put it all on staff. There are other members, Visit Rapid City, of course. Maybe Visit Rapid City is identified as a partner in some of those actions to move forward. And one of the big pieces, of course, you just noticed that in development submittals, is the land use map and categories. So each of those colors on the map, of course, mean a different type of development, different type of generalized density or building height, et cetera, and what that looks like. So being able to work with the community and identify what those colors represent, what that development should look like, what should go where, how they're connected with roads, et cetera, is a big part of the process. And as I mentioned, a lot of different colors, a lot of different elements, but the comprehensive plan should address all of these things. There's also a focus on kind of arts, inclusivity, and equity that we've talked about early on in the process, so you'll probably see elements on those as well. But everything from land use, infrastructure, recreation and tourism, transportation, to things that we might not have identified yet. And the last thing, at the end of the day, really what you'll have is the plan that gives you goal and policy guidance to be able to use when development submittals come in. And even as you're starting to think about strategic plan goals, city staff develops departmental goals. You can use this document to rely on as it is community generated. There's a lot of feedback from the community that will go into this. Of course, you'll have the future land use map as well to guide future development and growth. Again, there should be this focus on supporting the arts, equity, culture, and community throughout the process. And the vision and the values will really set the stage for that goal and policy development. A little bit about the schedule. So, as I mentioned, we're just kind of getting our feet under us, getting to know a little bit more about the city. We've kind of been working behind the scenes over the past couple months as well to do that same thing, look into the data a little bit as much as we could without getting here on site. Through the summer, you'll see a big push in community outreach, and that community outreach won't stop. So while you see, 5 or 6 phases on here, 6 phases on here, there's an opportunity for involvement throughout each phase, throughout the process as a whole. So you'll see a number of online questionnaires, website activities, in-person workshops throughout. But the key point of this is to know that generally these are pretty long processes. So we try to keep involvement and enthusiasm for the project up as we go through the process. But it's not a quick one and done here. It is kind of, you're in it for the long haul. It's kind of a marathon rather than a sprint. So anticipated completion should be at the end of next summer, but we'll try to keep it interesting as we go. And on that interest, so we'll try to make it fun and interesting as we go through incorporating art throughout this. We're starting off with one-on-one conversations with community, elected officials, city leadership, city staff, really anyone that wants to talk to us, has an interest in the project. We've already met with our study advisory team once so far. We're meeting with them again this afternoon just to give them kind of some highlights on what we're hearing so far. And then through the next steps in the process, we'll have some community workshops, drop-in events. You'll likely see the comprehensive plan at some of your community events through the summer, at some events at Main Street Plaza, for instance. As I mentioned, website activities throughout the process. And then, again, kind of trying to roll in this art component, things like planned showcases, performance panels, art showcases, etc. And on this arts-based approach, it's a little bit different, and we're really excited for it. It's a little bit different process than we've done for other communities. So this really sets you apart. And one of the things that we've heard throughout the process so far is this is a really important component for the city is arts and culture. And so kudos to staff for really thinking about this before they even started the process and made an effort to showcase this. And I won't go through this, read word for word and read it to you, but know that this is intended to be kind of an arts-based approach. The benefit of that is it's very inclusive of the process. It allows us to get youth involved. It allows us to get other folks that might not typically join in something like a comprehensive plan workshop, but through an arts lens, there's an opportunity for them to do that. Some of the things that we've talked about with this are to include the local artist community, arts-based organizations. We do have a number of representatives of those on our advisory team as well. And I have a slide a little further down that talks about an arts subcommittee. So they're actually working a little bit more diligently as a subcomponent of the advisory team to help frame up some of these events, what that looks like. We do have an arts contest online right now. We haven't gotten a whole lot of submittals, so if anybody's interested in a drawing or a poem or a video, feel free to enter that. We'll keep that open probably until the end of June, but it is posted on the website for submittals, and we are looking for additional submittals on that. Community Mosaic Showcase event, that's where we would take those art submittals and actually showcase them to the community. Again, this kind of gets at vision and values in that first stage in the process. And the speaker and performance panel, that can be done a little bit later in the process as well. But again, just trying to incorporate some fun events throughout the process. As I mentioned, the project website is kind of the one-stop shop for everything comprehensive plan related, everything from meeting minutes, meeting summaries, to updated information. I mentioned existing condition snapshots. When we get those completed, they'll be up there for posting. Questionnaire number 1 is on there right now, and I should note that it is rapidcitycomprehensiveplan.com. Questionnaire number 1 is up there right now as well, and these are some of the questions we've asked so far. I'll give you a little bit of a sneak peek of what we're hearing so far as well. And as well as that, we're, like I mentioned, we're doing listening sessions or one-on-one interviews right now. We have the arts showcase, the submittals live right now. And then we've also met with the study advisory team for a kickoff and are meeting with them again this evening. But a little bit about what we've heard so far in the process. Some of the questions we've asked in that online questionnaire: what elements or features define Rapid City? So this kind of helps us know what needs to be preserved or even enhanced, right? Of course, Black Hills has been mentioned a lot. Parks, bike paths, and trails. We've heard the Greenway system is fantastic through town. We've heard a lot about extending that into neighborhoods. Main Street Square, Main Street Plaza, the events, Storybook Island, Dinosaur Park has also been mentioned in a lot of the meetings I've had as well. So a lot of different, I guess, recreational activities, outdoor activities, family-friendly activities is what I start to see coming to the top. Which kind of leads into that second one. Parks and trails comes up as the most loved thing about the city. People and community are next. And then arts and culture is coming in third. There's other choices, we just highlighted the top 3 for right now. And then on the flip side of this, which elements have the biggest opportunity for change or improvement? These are things that we'll definitely need to delve into in a little bit more detail as we go through the process. But housing and neighborhood character has been mentioned, improved infrastructure. I'm assuming roads, water, sewer, et cetera. And then land use and growth patterns. So I'm assuming that's just getting to growth in general in a lot of these answers. People questioning, what's happening, what's going on. A lot of people get really concerned about rapid growth, right? So growth so quickly. And then the last one on this one is we're also asking folks if you could write a tagline or a catchphrase for Rapid in 20 years. What would it be? So a lot about families, up and coming, see how far we've come, better together. And again, we'll use some of the words that are coming up to develop an overall vision statement and some of these guiding themes to set the stage for the plan. Right now, so the online questionnaire is about 100 responses as of a couple days ago. So if you haven't taken the online questionnaire, I'd make a request to you all to do that over the next few weeks. We are seeing a lot of traffic on the website so far, which is good. Again, this is kind of the easiest place for people to be able to plug in on their own time. And one of the other activities online is a tag the map. So you're able to actually, kind of that map view there, put a place marker for an issue or a concern or an opportunity, and kind of give a note or comment as to what that would be. And what we're starting to see through some of these initial meetings and community feedback, we're starting to see some of these 4 focus areas that could be used to, again, kind of structure the plan. Maybe a focus on, or a new focus on mixed use and infill development, right? So instead of continuing, kind of gets to that land use and growth, instead of growing out, maybe refocusing on where you can fill in some of the holes in the existing city boundary. Ensuring infrastructure capacity is there. I've heard kind of a couple comments even yesterday about as development comes in, making sure that infrastructure is available and in at the same time. Sometimes that's not always possible. And, some of those things like commercial and services will come after the households. But things like parks and trails, connectivity, et cetera, making sure those are in place. And then on the other side of that, fiscal efficiency within land uses. So community development is also looking in and doing a kind of a fiscal study, a market study on the cost of development. And we've worked with those consultants before, so we're trying to tie together those two things. We'll use a lot of their data on fiscal sustainability and the cost of growth in the comprehensive plan as well. And then regional hub considerations and service area. You're a draw of 100, 150 miles out for some commercial and retail. So use that to your advantage, right? Use that to boost sales tax, use that to increase fiscal efficiency. But just being able to know that and consider those implications as well through the process. And just a note, we're relying on city leadership to help throughout the process and give us some feedback. We also have an excellent staff team that we've leaned on so far that'll kind of lead the process, and a very large study advisory team, like I mentioned, with arts-based communities. Some of the leadership you have right here on the dais are involved in that study advisory team, as well as this arts subcommittee that's really going to help kind of put on some of these events. And with that, just some questions for you all today, or I can open it for questions that you might have for us. But that's the end of my presentation.
All right, thank you much. Haven's already volunteered.
In the past, there's been infrastructure and roads taken into consideration outside the city limits, but in areas that you may expect to be within the city in 20 years. What communication do you have with the county and with landowners outside of the city?
Yep. So with landowners outside the city, we'll involve everybody in the process, so everybody's welcome. The county specifically, I can't remember, Sarah, do we have them on our advisory team?
They're not on the advisory team, but they're going to be doing one-on-one interviews and content throughout, yeah.
And they are not on the advisory team, but we are doing one-on-one interviews with county planning staff, et cetera. So they will be involved.
Yeah, I think this can be free-flowing. Just if you
good
want
deal.
your mic on, let me know.
Good deal. So that is a great question. In addition to the comprehensive plan, we also are working on our major street plan. Public Works has utility master plans. Our future land use plan goes way beyond the boundaries of the current city limits. And so there is that collaboration that goes on one-on-one with the county. That information will again be shared with Logan Simpson, so that even though they are having that one-on-one, those database points will be incorporated into this plan as well.
All right, any other comments from the staff? Brooke?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll make it quick. I was really excited to be part of the group that got eventually to land on Logan Simpson, and I really appreciate your innovative approach. It's very creative. I'm excited about many types of voice and thought and backgrounds at the table on this one, so really excited to see where it goes. Thank you.
Karen?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I am so excited about a new comprehensive plan. I've gone through several of them over the years, and it's always interesting to see what people come up with and what they want to do. And overall, I think Rapid City is a central hub of everything that can happen, and there's so many things that can be changed and made better, but we've already started with great plans. The one thing that I want to make comment on is the neighborhoods. New houses now, and I understand from KIP the reason why we have garages in the front, less drainage and less concrete. But I would like to see the houses be more friendly, so you're looking at your neighbor next door instead of the backyards, and that's a big thing for me. But I think overall, arts is going to be great. Nothing like arts for people to come and say that this is a wonderful town. It's beautiful, And so it's not just the commercial aspect of it, because that is a big draw for a lot of people to come to Rapid. But the tourists and the people who live here, it's just gonna, it's exciting. I just think it's gonna be great. So I appreciate you guys, and it sounds like a great plan to start with, so thank you.
You know, I'd just like to add, and I don't know if any of you wanted to add anything more, but one of the things that is so great about Rapid City is the quality of life that we have here. As we all know, we have a great park system. You can still get from one side of the city to another in any direction within 15 minutes. I would like to see, as a part of improving our quality of life, taking a hard look at how we are spending our dollars to better address the cost of living expenditures that we all encumber living in Rapid City. They seem to have skyrocketed since COVID. And when we look at fiscal responsibility, something that Megan brought up this morning, I want to take a deep, real look at what we can do as a part of designing and promoting to lower some of the expenditures that we as citizens and taxpayers are having to cover.
All right, Eric Hikas.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, you had me at art-based approach, being the son of a tapestry artist. And then I would just add that in my work as a landscape architect with civil engineers, planners, and architects, for the biggest core of my work is to try to ingrain fabric into the work we're doing. And I think I finally got the civil engineers to stop calling it fluffy. Now we're talking about fabric now, so we're making progress. So I'm glad to see that that's a part of this effort. So kudos.
All right, Vince.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Mr. Chair. And Eric, I have to bring my son into this, I guess, because speaking of art, I couldn't agree with you more. And when we talk about the parks and recreation, just a plug, there's going to be Shakespeare in the Park this summer, but those are the kind of things that connect us well from one park to another park and locations like that. So yes, I love this art-based approach.
All right. I'd just like to throw out a plug when we talk about the comprehensive plan. I went through the one 10 years ago, and we're a lot of goals with it, and we've met some, we haven't met others. As we redo this one, I'd like to see some thought towards incentives towards hitting those goals, because we as Planning Commission, the community development has this in spades, but you know what you want for a parcel or a roadway or a redevelopment corridor, but it's the property owners along that redevelopment corridor that determine what happens. And I completely agree with the fiscal responsibility comments, but I do think as part of this, we should come up with some proposals to the city council about incentives for redevelopment or development that goes along with a revised comprehensive plan. Pat Roseland.
Thank you. As part of this commission, which I feel I'm very honored to be a part of this commission, I'm very much in favor of arts-based, since I'm a member of the Arts Council, and basically I love art, and I think Rapid City has to be more in tune to what the artists, the art cultural group in Rapid City can bring to the city. It's just not, we have to throw money here or throw money here. The results of the arts brings money into Rapid City. And I think we have to really put faith into that. And I really feel like as we go on, as we were saying earlier, the goals should not be so lofty that we cannot meet them. We have to meet our goals, and that makes a success. If we have goals far out in the future, we know that we cannot meet, we should not have them there. And just being where we're at in Rapid City today, very positive. I love Rapid City. We're all here, we love Rapid City. And it's probably an island in the storm of of basically the whole area, maybe the United States, for South Dakota for sure, that we live in the greatest area in the country. We're here in Rapid City. We can live and work where we're at. 5 minutes later, we're up in the hills. It's incredible how I guess mentally, it's impressive that we can be stressed out to the max during the day, but 5 minutes later, you're up visiting dinosaurs or visiting the parks. And we have to keep that in mind, that the arts and the culture of this area is very important to us. And we have to basically put a lot of pressure to keep it that way. Thank you.
All right, any other questions or comments on this one? I think
Thank you
then
all
we
for
ju-
your comments.
Yeah, do we need to vote on acknowledgement, or is it more of a discussion? Okay. Anything else today, Vicky, for the commission?
I think that's it.
All right. Vince?
Sorry, I had to ask. I didn't ask this question during the West Hills Village presentation, but can I ask now regarding the property that would be east of this location that was, you said it was school property, and there was mention of some kind of commercial activity potential. I didn't hear everything, I'm sorry. What was that you said?
Mr. Chair, if I
Yeah,
may.
Vicky?
So yes, we've had discussions with the school. They had at one time brought in what was known as a transfer plat, trying to capture that into a legal description that could be sold. I don't know that they know who might purchase it. There's a large component of drainage on that property, so it's limited in buildable area. But there is ample acreage for reasonable development, since it is located directly adjacent to Fifth Street, and this is a corridor of commercial along Fifth Street. We are truly trying to promote that over putting residential up against that arterial. But at this point, we don't know, and I don't think the school has any idea what might come forward.
Okay, no, thank you. I didn't want to bring it up then because I didn't think it was relevant,
Yeah.
but thanks for
Good
clearing that
point.
up.
Good point.
All right, Karen made the motion to adjourn.
Second.
Vince seconded that motion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye.